Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chris Stalling, as you know me here on YouTube as MarauderX, and as always I'm your host for My Two Cents, where I take something going on in the gaming industry, be it an event, news, business practice, something, and I give you my 2 cents on it, my opinions on the matter. I feel the need to get on my soapbox and throw money at you in small increments. 2 cents. This episode of My Two Cents is going to be based off of DLC, downloadable content. Now, this topic got brought up because just recently Nintendo announced that they are going to be releasing Mewtwo for Super Smash Bros. On both the Wii U and the 3DS. But they've also announced that they are not doing any paid DLC planned for Super Smash Bros. And this has got everyone confused. Now, I'm going to start off with Smash Brothers, and then I'm going to just talk about DLC in general. Smash Brothers, during their 50 things about Smash Brothers, they announced Mewtwo is going to be available. Not for several months. He's not going to be available at least until March, so that is about 3 months away from the date of recording this. Possibly longer, depending on how long it takes to finalize. Now, everyone has lost it, according to this. They don't know whether or not Mewtwo is going to be paid DLC, if he's going to be free, if he's going to be limited to the people who only bought both versions of the game. If he is only available to people who bought both versions of the game, people are screaming that it is $40 to $50 DLC. If he does become paid DLC, then their statement has just been contradicted. If he is not paid DLC, then how is he going to be part of the game? A lot of questions, and really there are very little answers. Nintendo of Europe has come out and said he can be purchased later on. They don't have any specifics on it yet. So he is going to be purchasable DLC. Now, Nintendo has been doing DLC slightly different than everyone else. They do a large chunk of content for a very reasonable price well after the game release. Mario Kart 8 is their best example. They just had their first pack of DLC come out, which involves 2 new cups. Each cup has 4 tracks total, 3 new characters, and a couple of new cards. They have another DLC pack coming out later that, again, is going to add 2 more cups, 4 tracks each cup, 3 new characters, more cards. Each pack, I believe, is $7, and you can buy them as a bundle pack for $11. So, for $11, you can buy roughly half the original game. That's 4 cups, 4 tracks per cup. That is half the game at launch. The game at launch was 8 cups. For $11, you can buy half of Mario Kart 8. These are DLC packs that have been in the works for a while. They announced both of them at the same time. There was one DLC pack, the minor one that had the, I believe, Mercedes-Benz cars in Mario Kart, that got overshadowed because their other DLC packs are where the content lied. That's where people want to spend the money. As far as Mewtwo and Smash, we don't know. I seriously doubt he is going to be $40 to $50 DLC, restricted to only the people who got both copies of the game. Nintendo of Europe again said that you could purchase it later. They'll work out details. But people lost their minds about this because there was very little information, and the information that they had seemed to be contradictory. Except, this is from a company who's just started getting into the DLC market. Nintendo has never done DLC before. This is new to this console generation for them. Why is everyone just going out of their way to raise their pitchforks and torches over this particular topic? Well, that's because DLC is, in a lot of cases, bad. For every one case you have of Nintendo offering a very extensive amount of content for a very reasonable price, you get instances where you've got day one DLC that could have been bundled with the game, you've got pay-to-win type DLC, you've got on-disc DLC. content that is literally on the disc that you've purchased that you do not have access to unless you pay extra to unlock it. There are a lot of very bad DLC business practices, and a lot of companies use them in order to kind of nickel and dime the consumer to death. However, Nintendo doesn't seem to be taking that route. Nintendo seems to be focused as much as possible on providing reasonable price for a reasonable amount of content. Now, we're going to take a step away from the Mewtwo Nintendo DLC because we don't know. We don't know. It's months away. Give Nintendo some time to work out what they want to do with that and how they're going to do that. Let's look at DLC in general. I'm a gamer who's been gaming long enough to where I have this. It's kind of hard to see because it's black. This is the Hellfire expansion for Diablo 1. This was produced by Sierra, the only authorized Diablo 1 expansion pack at the time. See, that's the keyword, expansion pack. PC games, for as long as I remember, have had expansion packs. Add-ons to the game. They add new levels, new characters, quests, items, everything. They're a fraction of the game using the game's original code, just as extras. Typically, they didn't cost anywhere near as much as the full release of the game, and this is where the concept of DLC came in. Now that consoles have built-in hard drives, internet capabilities, DLC is something that is starting to become way more commonplace in this industry as well. DLC is not necessarily a bad thing in itself. Adding additional content to a game that otherwise could have been left forgotten or just ignored in favor of possibly working on a sequel where things change, or just having that development team split and separated amongst the winds to various other projects. Looking at Diablo as a series, each Diablo game has had an expansion pack. Diablo 1 had Hellfire, Diablo 2 had Reaper of Souls, the most recent Diablo 3 expansion, the Death, I forget its name to save my life at the moment. But each of those has had an expansion where new content is added in order to help progress the game. MMOs are a huge example of this. You have expansions for MMOs. Otherwise, the game would stagnate and die, because once you hit the end of the game, and there's nothing else to do, there's no reason to continue playing, especially if it was an MMO that had a paid subscription model. You pay to, keep chasing that carrot that's been dangling in front of your face, but once you hit max level, you do all the in-game raids, what have you. What other carrots are there to dangle in front of your face? They're gone. So these games require this type of DLC model. You also have other DLC models like Valve uses for Team Fortress 2, where everything's free. They add in these new content packs where you can get these new weapons, items, cosmetics for free just through playing the game, or you can just go ahead and buy them to get them faster. In a lot of these cases, they do their best to make sure everything is balanced so that it's worthwhile for everyone to get it. If you don't want to spend, the money for a new cosmetic in TF2, you don't have to. It's not required. It does not inhibit or impede your gameplay if you do not have this particular weapon. You have a selection of others that are still tested and tried and true. Expansion packs for MMOs. You don't have to have them, but once you hit a particular spot, you're either going to need to purchase the expansion or realize that you've hit the end of the game. Like I said, not a bad thing. It keeps these games going. Final Fantasy XI, a game that I've been playing for years, is a huge example. If it weren't for the expansion packs and the add-on missions, the game would have stagnated and died long ago. It was a game that was originally developed for PS2 architecture, and this day and age, it's still going. It just recently received an expansion pack. World of Warcraft. Every expansion pack that comes out for it continues to bring new graphical changes, new equipment, classes, lore. These are things that keep the game going rather than having it die out and be lost to just the hardcore players, if that. Now, there are really bad instances of DLC. We've talked about, day one content, stuff that really could have been bundled with the game at no extra cost. But instead it was kept separate. It was developed alongside the game, which could have taken resources from the main game for this particular DLC. Or on-disc DLC, which again is something that you have already purchased because it is on the physical disc you own, but it is locked behind a hidden paywall, in which you have to pay more in order to unlock the game. And there is no option when you buy the game to spend the extra couple of dollars there to remove that paywall. It's something you have to choose to do later on. These are instances of really bad DLC, because all they do is hurt both the industry as a whole and the consumer. They hurt the industry because it basically removes consumer confidence. You sit here and see a fighting game where 5 characters are hidden behind a paywall, and the only way to access them is another $20 on top of the cost of the game. In addition to, you may have internet fees and other things that must already be taken into account for the game itself. Then you've got the day one DLC. The thought of this DLC was worked on side by side, but released separately for extra payment. That means people had to be working on this project at the same time as this DLC. So you actively took resources away from the game so that you could sell me an extra $20 worth of content the first day, instead of having those people work on the game to make sure I got the best experience possible for the price that I'm paying for the game itself. You run the risk of having more bugs or glitches or incomplete features for the day one DLC. Now, like I said, this hurts the industry because it kills consumer confidence that these are things that we sit here and look at and say, this is not right. Why do we support this? But then it also hurts us because we are supporting this. There are consumers that actively spend money on day one DLC, on disc DLC, because it's the only way they feel they can get the full product that they have already acquired. Fighting games in particular, if the characters are locked behind a paywall, if you want to be able to fight at your best, you don't know if this one character is going to become your new primary character. Same goes for day one DLC. You don't know if any of that content is going to make or break your gaming experience. So we actively buy this, which when we do that, we are voting with our wallets. We are actively giving these companies permission to say, this is okay, even though we feel it's not okay. We're telling them, I'm still willing to spend this money, so continue doing this, and I'll begrudgingly keep paying. Which, again, hurts us, and then it hurts the industry, and it's just a vicious cycle that keeps going. Because as long as a company feels that they can make money off of this particular practice, they're going to use this practice. Because companies are out to make money. That's their purpose. We, as consumers, our purpose is either to choose to or not to buy their products. So I ask, as a gamer, as a consumer, make informed decisions. Do not assume all DLC is bad or that all DLC is good. Take it by a case-by-case basis. Is this particular DLC worth the price tag? Do you feel that this particular DLC took content from the game from launch? Do you feel that this particular business practice is legitimate by having things locked already on the disc that you have already paid for, that is your property. Do that. And if you feel the answers to your questions justify the purchase, then do so. Make the purchase. Reward the companies that you feel are doing well and providing useful and fantastic business practices to the consumers. If you feel they're not, don't give in. Don't do that. As far as Nintendo goes, like I said, give them a couple of months to figure out what they're doing with this product. Mewtwo, as far as I can tell, does not fall into any of those categories. He did not. His appearance or lack of appearance does not change the final game. There are people who are Mewtwo mains that are very happy that he's back, but it doesn't affect the overall quality of the game. He's one character coming out months after the game release. Obviously, his development, people have not taken time off the development to start working on him, which impede other gameplay aspects. He was something that has just recently been started, from the sound of Nintendo. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But from everything shown, he doesn't seem to fit into any of the negative categories. He seems to be something that will come at a later date that may or may not be worth purchasing. So, again, please, do your best to make an informed purchase. Do not just blindly sit here and say that these 3 letters are good or bad. Take the time to do a little bit of research. Look and see if you feel that product is worth the time and effort to either make a comment online on a YouTube video or an article post, or if it's worth your money to spend. That's my thoughts and opinions on the matter on DLC. Like I said, some of you are going to agree with me, some of you aren't. I guess let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below, and we'll see if there's anything that I missed in terms of DLC, or anything that I've said that maybe you hadn't thought of. And now it might, give a new perspective on things. So until I have to get on my soapbox again, I will see you guys later.